Hey guys, my name is Shaika Plazier, but you could call me Shy. And I really want to talk to you guys about my album that's coming out October 8th. Yes! I want you guys to know what the journey was like. It was not an easy journey. I'm going to tell you that right now. If I knew how much money it cost to put out an album and the work that it takes to put out an album, I would have been saving since I was 7 years old. Not only that, it's just not an easy task, especially when you're doing God's work. It's not an easy task, and I don't take it lightly at all. First and foremost, before I even talk about the album, I've got to talk about my journey. I've been singing since I was 7 or 8 years old, and my mom always had me in like recitals, different music centers, different music schools, and I was in acting too in high school, elementary, middle school, like all throughout my whole childhood, honestly. And I've always known that I wanted to minister, and I knew what I was called to do at a very young age, which was to sing. And I really want to shout out my mom too, because oftentimes Haitian parents don't support their kids when it comes to music, especially if they're not going to school to be a lawyer, if they're not going to school to be an advocate, if they're not going to school to be a doctor or engineer. Most of the time they're just like, okay, well, this is not going to make you any money and you're not going to go far with this. But my mother has been supported from the very start of it. I mean, she put me in schools, maybe compete, like different things like that. I appreciate her so very much. So I began leading a congregation at the age of 13, and that was not an easy task. That was weighty, because when you're doing ministry and you're ushering people into the presence of God, that's not something that I take lightly, and I didn't take that lightly. So I began to do that. The more I did that, the more God began to use me, the more fluent I became in my worship, the more fluent I became in praise and worship. But then when I got to the age of 20 or 21, in 2020, I went to the doctor and I found out that I had vocal nodules. And I was so discouraged, so distraught, because I'm like, God, how could you let this happen to me? I'm doing your work. I'm walking in obedience. You know, my heart is in it. I go from work to school, straight to church. Sometimes I would even go home, and my heart was in it. It wasn't even about the task. Like, I love doing it. I knew that was what I was called to do. But little did I know that that was the only way that God could have gotten my attention. And the thing is, oftentimes we go through situations where we're put into isolation or things happen and we're frustrated at God. We're like, God, why? But oftentimes what you think was a curse was meant for your good, was a blessing. And it was a blessing in disguise, because I was able to actually listen and sit down and not be so busy and just hear what God had for me and what my next assignment was, which was to go to college. Because when I was in ministry, I was very involved. I was busy, and I was also working at Microsoft at the time. So I had a very busy schedule. I could only really take classes part-time. You know, I was paying out of pocket as well. So then that's when I got accepted into a really great college, and I started doing what I wanted to do when it came to my studies. But as I'm happy doing my studies, I'm also feeling unsatisfied, because I'm like, God, something's missing. I don't feel complete. And that's one thing. When God has called you to do something, you can run from it from only so long, because you're going to always feel like there's a piece of you that's missing. There's something that you should be doing. So then I began to write songs, and I've been writing songs since I was 8 or 10, but I began to actually take it seriously. God was like, start putting those songs out. Start working more on your penmanship. So I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing. I'm like, okay, God, where do I go from here? Who's going to be put on my path? Because I can't do this by myself, Jesus. One thing about God, when he wants you to do something, he's going to give you the resources. All you got to do is take one step. So I started with one step. I started writing, and then he started putting people along my path. People that I knew but didn't know that God would use them to do ministry with. And that's my big brother, Benjamin. God used him, and is still going to use him, and is continuously using him to be a mentor for me musically, as a producer, and as a big brother. So I thank God for him. I thank God for every person he's put on my path, my recording engineer, Joey, everybody that God is using. Just thank you to all of you. God just began putting people along my path. So when God tells you to do something, don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just take the first step and let him lead the way. Don't walk in disobedience. Don't run from it as hard as it is. But then life started lifing, and I was going through a lot. I lost my grandmother, who is like mommy number 2 for me. You know, she taught me everything that I know, from cooking to cleaning to manners to respect to how to run a household, everything. So I was very distraught from that too. I'm like, God, I just keep losing things. I'm losing my voice. I'm losing people. Started spiraling, and I'm just like, God, I feel so lost. I don't know what to do. That was actually how Susla was birthed. and I came out with Suicide last year. And I saw God slowly restoring me. And that's when the album title Restored came to mind. He restored my joy. He restored my peace. He restored my faith in him. He restored my faith in just being within a church community again, and that desire to want to be around like-minded people who know God. And that's when I realized, I'm just like, God, I'm not going to run from this no more. As difficult as it may get, as expensive as it may get, I'm going to trust in you because you're a restorer. And I watched him restore me. That's why each and every song in that album is a testimony. It's a testimony of what I've went through. Before God makes you put out a project, he makes you live that project. And that's what God was doing through me. He was making me go through these experiences so that I could know how to help someone else who's going through those experiences. Oftentimes we think that we're doing ministry for us. You're being used for someone else. You're being used for his glory. All that I went through is to help someone else. And I watched him restore me, and is still restoring me to this day. When you think of the biblical term of restore, restore doesn't mean to return back to its original state or to gain everything that you've lost. Restored in biblical terms means to double, to give you more than you could imagine. When you think of that Bible verse that says he restores my soul, or that other Bible verse that says he will restore the years that the locust has taken, God is giving you more than what you can imagine. So I say this to every person that is discouraged, that feels like they've given up on ministry, they've given up on their calling, they're giving up because it got too difficult. Life is lifing, and they're losing people. They lost themselves or lost the things that matter so much to you. Understand that God is a restorer, and he will restore you better than you were before. One thing about God, when he does a job, he does it well. So trust in him. If he's called you to do ministry, do it. If he's called you to be a cosmetologist, do it. If he's called you to do business, just do it. Trust in him, and trust that he'll lead you along the way, and he won't leave nor forsake you. So that's what my album Restored is about, and every song in there is a story, and I pray that it will bless you guys, and I pray that you guys can relate, because I know that we've all been through some sort of restoration process and are probably going through a restoration process right now. So my album comes out October 8th, 2025, and we ain't stopping. All gas, no brakes, okay? We are not stopping. This is only the beginning. When I say I'm not stopping, I'm going to continue to do what God has called me to do no matter what. And I made that commitment to him ever since this project has started. I'm like, Lord, this time around, there's no 4 years of waiting and not doing ministry, okay? I'm going to continue no matter what happens, no matter what I go through. And I pray that the album Restored is an encouragement for you to continue no matter what you're going through and no matter what mistakes you've made. I love y'all. Love y'all so much, and God loves you too. Bye.